Franklin County Board of County Commissioners now back in session. And we're going to, up next would be Mr. Clay Kenny from Dewberry on current projects.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Clay Kennedy with Dewberry. I think I handed out to everyone, excuse me, list. It's pretty much the same format as the one I provided months ago. Commissioner Ward, I think at the last board meeting, requested that I come, which I should have already done, but nonetheless, I'm here today. So we can do this however y'all want to. I can read through each one, kind of give you a brief synopsis of where we're at with each project. If that's all right with y'all.
That's fine.
Alligator Drive multi-use paths, there's two phases of that. One of those, which is from basically the washout area back towards the big curve there at, is that Gulf Shore Boulevard, I believe?
Yeah.
That's been, or is fixing to be awarded to the contractor. I think Pygott Asphalt was the low bid on that. I believe DOT is wanting Mark to advertise for bids for the phase 3 and 4, which is essentially from the marina down to the, let's call it the fire station, the old fire station area. So that's getting ready to go out to bids. Alligator Drive Hurricane damage repair, which is at 1,200 linear feet of area just to the east of the old KO campground, from Tom Roberts to George Voss. Basically, if you live out in that area, you've noticed that you probably haven't seen a whole lot of work done. We've been waiting on sheet piles to be delivered. That's the next step in that construction project. The word I got from the contractor yesterday was that the sheet piles were supposed to be starting delivery today. So fingers crossed, hopefully that's happening and we can start driving piles soon. Because of the shipment delay, we extended the contract time for that project several meetings ago. When we did that, there were several permits that were going to expire during that time. So a lot of effort has been spent over the last several months of making sure we still had our permits active to finish out to April or May, whenever it is. The biggest one was the CCL line permit. Originally, we were going to operate under there was an EFO created especially for Alligator Drive. That expired in September. So I was in a conundrum with DEP. I needed to be able to finish the job out. Luckily, DEP has worked very well with us. They understood the problem. Anyway, I think it was yesterday, maybe, what's today, Tuesday? It was yesterday, we got the CCL permit. So we should be good on all of our permits and be able to complete that construction with all the permits in hand. At any point, y'all have questions, just stop me, tell me shut up, and I'll answer your questions. Old Ferry Dock boat ramp. Essentially, that's at a 90, we'll call it a 90% set. It's really 100% set. But we've had a problem with Army Corps permitting. That has gone on for well over a year, if not pushing a year and a half. I try to keep Commissioner Jones abreast of that. The latest on that, there was some court case, and I don't know where it was at, but a federal judge made a ruling, and basically the Army Corps shut down and said, okay, we're not gonna issue any more permits until we understand what this judge ruling truly means. That worked its course. They're now issuing permits again. In that process, we had to send stuff up to National Marine Fisheries. Hopefully that process is getting to a point where it's completing. I talked to Mark Carrington this morning. Army Corps wants us to agree that one of the stipulations under the permit is going to be that we can't dredge during, I think it's between September and March, because that's Gulf sturgeon habitat, and apparently that's when the Gulf sturgeon comes back into the bay from the rivers. I told them that was fine, put that stipulation in there. We weren't gonna get the permit otherwise, so we might as well put that in. She's forwarding that up, she being the lady at Army Corps, she's forwarding that up to the National Marine Fisheries, and I'll read it off of her email. Hopefully we'll get a quick response and I can get my documents written and submitted for review before the end of the year. I'm not promising you that's gonna happen, but that's the statement from the Army Corps. So that's where we're at with that project. 67 and 30A. 30A is definitely done. That's the county line to 13 Mile. 67 from Highway 98 up to the bridge is essentially done, but Mark had called me and told me that you had a concern about one of the speed limit signs.
That's
just
correct.
so you know, C.W. Roberts has agreed to just come down at some point and swap that 45 for a 35.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Thank you.
I told Mark, everybody, we all need to keep that on our radar. I don't know when that's gonna happen. They couldn't give me a time frame, so we just need to keep a lookout.
Okay.
If it doesn't happen sometime after the first year, let me know and I'll call CW and
Okay.
we'll
will do.
try to get that taken care of.
Thank you.
Timber Island Road is under construction. There's one issue that I can talk to you afterwards about. There's a little bit of overrun on some lime rock, but I'm working with Mark Carrington. We'll work with DOT to see how we can make that right. There's not really anything weird happening with that project. It's pretty much, I think the asphalt's down, the fill's in. It should just be the bridge approach with the guardrail that's the next part of that construction
It is.
part.
I rode out there just a couple days ago, and you're right, the bridge seems to be the only area that's, and I think that, obviously, that's gonna be the last part, but it does look good. It looks great, and it's very smooth, a lot smoother than what it was,
Okay,
so thanks.
good, thank you. EOC, my nemesis, we're getting subcontractors underway, we're getting survey ordered and all that stuff, so really after the first year, you'll see a bigger push and much more progress being made on that project. 30A East and West washouts, the notice to proceed was issued on that, Commissioner Parrish, and I don't know that they've actually started, but they should be soon, if not. I'd have to talk to Mr. Morse about when they're gonna begin construction, but for the rest of the world, the public needs to be aware that the only way they can work on that side slope is probably to shut that eastbound lane down. So just be aware that there's gonna be some maintenance of traffic issues out there on that. East Point restroom, and it's not really the restroom, it's the washout for the parking area and everything else. That should be, I haven't been out there in a week or so, but they're working on that and making, last I looked, they were making good progress, but I haven't, like I said, I haven't been out there in a little while, so if there's something there, Commissioner Jones, that I need to take a look at, let me know.
Okay.
This is on Miss Aaron's report as well, St. George Island Fishing Pier Road, FEMA washout repairs. It's really just essentially a bunch of patches and then one area up towards that eyebrow or eye-shaped part of the road. Do you want me to go ahead and?
Actually, can I proceed with the item on my report relative to this? Michael, walk through the missing.
This here real quick.
Okay, let's see, that's.
Page 6.
Okay, item is gonna be item B. Yeah, 20B. Yeah, at the meeting on December 7th, the board also opened bids for the FEMA funded repairs to the SGI Fishing Pier Access Road project. With this project, it is not possible for the county to go back to request additional funding for cost overruns as the damage was categorized as a small project. The low bid was nearly $70,000 more than the total FEMA cost estimate of $109,921.67 for the project, which included engineering costs. After consulting with the engineer, we would like to request that the board reject all bids and allow for the bid specifications to be modified to reduce the scope bid upon by contractors to get the work within the available budget. To fit within the budget, the county may need to do some of the specified work in kind, most likely demolition or removal of the existing areas of damaged roadway. Board action to reject all bids, determine what in-kind work that could be done by the county road department, modify the scope for the bid solicitation, and re-advertise for the SGI Fishing Pier Access Road FEMA repairs.
Okay.
So moved.
All right, I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Parrish,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bolt. Any more discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's 4-0, unanimous, Jessica. Thank you, Aaron. Please proceed, sir.
So the next one on the list is Island View Park. Commissioner Bolt,
Yeah.
as you and I had discussed in the past, I've sent you and Aaron a copy of the plans. We're to review. Thank you very much. I need y'all to look at them, review them, make sure we're not missing something that the county wants. What you're looking at there is essentially what the damage description called for from FEMA, but we had talked about from the get-go that we were doing some things a little bit differently, i.e. maybe taking the pavers out and just putting asphalt back and things like that. So, and I know there was another issue with electrical that we've decided to go against the DDD. So I just need y'all to,
Okay.
we can sit down after the first year and go
Okay.
through that.
Okay, that sounds
Okay.
good.
And make a determination. At that point, we're ready to go out to bid
Okay.
essentially for that project.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I just wanted to make one parenthetical notation that after the project's done, I would like the county, and I do have affirmation, I believe that the county is going to do this, that we install a portable handicap bathroom facility with screening around it and landscaping in that area for the folks to be there.
Are we talking about a fully functional, or are we talking about a
Oh, I think.
porta potty?
Oh, no,
I-
like
no,
a
not
portable
full-
restroom, like a rental per month? Yeah, basically like a blue portalette that
Yeah,
Parks and Recreation would pay
Yeah,
for.
there will.
Yeah, that's,
They do have handicap accessible units.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Bigger.
You pay more for it, but they do
Yeah.
have.
they're just bigger.
And that's to be there from now on?
Yep, that's my opinion.
You gonna pay for that? The county gonna pay for that?
Hopefully,
From now on?
yeah. The folks that go there have to travel a great deal of distance to go to the bathroom after that,
That
when
would
they're
be
not
a
there.
Parks and
It's just-
Recreation
it's just-
expense.
There's no bathroom access available in that area at all. So I'd like to consider it to be handicap accessible as well.
My hope is that after, Commissioner Bolt, after we can get this park rebuilt,
Yeah.
I believe, unless I'm completely misremembering, that there was some property on the north side of the road that also belongs to the county. And that was the plan, that is the second phase or another phase to build a permanent restroom facility there.
Yes, I knew that, but for now, though, we need a bathroom facility there now, right there by the, right there on the park itself.
Okay.
So we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Please proceed, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Franklin County Landfill, this is a ball that I've not fully picked up and ran with just yet, but after the first of the year, again, you'll see some stuff transpire. Essentially, what I think I've been tasked with is to come back to the county with possibility of expanding the current landfill or looking at transfer station and what does that look like. And I just need to spend time with Jeff Brown and try to gather that information together for y'all. St. George Island Stormwater Project, I believe is going well. I had a meeting with Commissioner Jones, Michael, and Aaron along with some other Dewberry staff. And basically, we put together a model, a stormwater model, from LiDAR that showed essentially what I believe was what y'all had originally marked up as your trouble areas. And the data correlated with what y'all had put out there, so we felt good about that. The next phase of that is continue on into working with what a pipe and inlet system would look like, try to figure out what that would cost, but more importantly, start looking at the two ponds in the boulevard, in between the boulevard, are what we believe are DOT ponds. So we need to have a discussion with DOT to see if we can pipe this water to those areas, and then eventually what we'll have to do is double the size of the outfall structure. When I say the size of double the size of the pipes going out of the outfall structure to allow that water out to the bay at a quicker pace than what it's currently. In a large rain event, that's your holdup, is the outfall structure is not releasing that water fast enough. That's why your ponds are filling up the way they are.
I will say, when we're on that, after we get past the next couple of hurdles that we discussed publicly, discussing with DOT about the ponds, different things, at some point in the future, it's not really like a workshop, but I would like to get with you and Aaron about having something with the business association on the island, like the actual executive committee of the business association.
Okay.
And the same thing with civic association.
Okay.
Not to change the plan. I believe the plan's solid, but to make sure they're all informed and they know and they're not hearing
Sure.
secondhand, or, you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, even you brought up when we were in the other meeting was accessibility.
Yes.
You know, how are we shutting businesses
Right,
down for any
right.
certain, which we're not, but
Right.
but that would be a perfect opportunity to discuss
Right.
those items and ease some worries if there are some out there.
So we might still be a couple months away from that. I just wanted to put it on your radar while we're talking about it.
Yes, sir. No, sir.
Thank
We can
you.
do that. Thank you. County Road 30 East is, I think that's your district, Commissioner Bolt. It
Yeah.
should be the
Yes.
east side going out of Carabel where the Y comes in.
That's correct.
And then there's another washout area further down in the low next to the bay.
Yeah.
That's, our survey department's a little backed up, and it's been a headache for me to get a survey out of them, but as soon as I get it, we can finalize those plans. 67, phase 2 and 3, essentially is gonna take it north of the bridge up to, I don't know, Fire Road 172 maybe.
Is it going over to the county line, or is it stopping south of the county line?
We couldn't get it to the county line with this set of grants. It was almost like it was just over the threshold of what they wanted to fund, so Mark and I kept breaking it back into smaller segments until they would fund it. And so we've got one more phase should take it from 172 to the county line, I believe.
Okay,
Double check with Mark on that.
That's fine.
That I'm not telling you a
but this
story.
one's going to 172?
I believe that's where it stops.
Okay.
Yes, sir. But it's actually two different phases.
Yes.
So there's one from the bridge to 166, and then the next one is 166 to 172.
Okay,
Those are being surveyed by a second out of, not my surveyors. I hired a survey group. And they just sent me invoices while I was in the board meeting with y'all today, so I'm assuming if you want me to pay you, I've got a survey somewhere, but I hadn't seen it yet, so let me track that down. While we're on the subject of 67, I believe after the first of the year, there will be another DOT project that comes up to replace the head walls on the creek crossing at Womack Creek,
Womack Creek, yeah.
which is just south of the county line up there. It's actually triple 12-foot arch pipes, pretty big.
Yeah.
I've had discussion with DOT concerning what do we do if we get into this and we find out the pipes are bad? You know, if all we're replacing is the head walls, because the head walls are old stone head walls. I mean, literal stone mason head walls, and they're collapsing. They have been for years. They'll a hole will get in them and it'll just start eating dirt. And so that's something that the road department's been dealing with. So we thought at a minimum, let's get some concrete head walls in and get that shored up. So we'll see how that project goes, and we'll work with DOT however we need to. But we need to get that done before, if we do have to replace pipes or fix pipes or dig into that, we want to get that done before we do that last phase of paving. So that was the reasoning behind that. And then we briefly, Kentucky Avenue, so these are just items that are out there for me to do that aren't necessarily, I'm under contract to do necessarily, but I like y'all, so I'm doing them.
Good answer. No, I'm playing.
Yeah, thanks.
Kentucky Avenue and Lanark, you know, there's a little bit of a flooding problem out there at times, and we're looking into how we can potentially find some grant money to alleviate some of their issues. So that's on my to-do list to do. I'm currently working on an inspection job out at the airport with Avcon for the lighting job. That's wrapping up. I went out there and did a punch list with the contractor about a month ago, and I went back out there last week to look at some of the progress that he's made. So we'll see what John Collins comes up with as far as closing that job out. Currently working, trying to get this survey finished up at the airport. Again, survey department's been a little bit of a problem. Scrap CIGP applications are due in March. And I think Mark is, at the last board meeting, made y'all aware, gave y'all a list from your road department and things of that nature. So after the first of the year, that'll take up a good bit of my time trying to help Mark look at roads, evaluate what's good, what's not, what fits in the criteria of the grant and what doesn't. So, but y'all have got your own homework as far as making sure that what the road department's telling y'all and what y'all want to do or what y'all are seeing in your districts correlates with what the needs are, and get that information to us. Then the other thing is just parking areas on St. George Island. One, making sure that we incorporate those areas in the current stormwater project that we're working on, but two, seeing what we can do to help facilitate some additional parking areas in that area. So that's really the gist of, I mean, there's probably a dozen more things that I'm doing, but that's the gist of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, thank you. This is a very comprehensive list, and I've tried to tell people if they've asked me about some of the projects, particularly in my district. So you just don't realize how many different projects we're working on right now. It's been like feast or famine, because I remember when we were first talking about getting to this scenario, I think it was pre-Hurricane Michael, where Dewberry is our engineer of record. It was like, well, if we ever have anything for you to do on the backside, sir, I'm glad we made that decision, because now it's been wide open, and you know, all you know, like trying to swallow water coming out of a hose from the fire department. You know, it's kind of a lot going on.
It's a lot. The problem, it's good and it's bad. I mean, y'all have been very patient with me. Obviously, with this much to do, some ball is going to get dropped somewhere along the way. But that's, y'all have been good to us in understanding that. We try to pick that ball back up and run with it as fast as we can. But anything else?
That's all we can do. I think this is a good list, and I'm glad that you put it together for us,
Thank you.
because it can help us answer some questions that people ask, you know.
Okay.
'Cause truly, there's a lot about to go out to bid if we get the right documentation.
Michael and I had discussed doing this quarterly, and I did it last March. Obviously, I didn't do it in June or September, so my apologies for that. But we can try to keep doing this on a quarterly basis and
Right.
keep y'all abreast of what's going on.
Yeah, and I want to ask you, just so I be on the record and publicly know your advice. This is not a, so I've had several residents, and it's a problem, complain that the old Fair Dock boat ramp from where it was built so many years ago, people now just have bigger motors than they've ever had before, if we're honest. And from them throttling their motor up to get the boat up on their trailer, we now have big holes developing in that. Since we're kind of in a stalling pattern, is it gonna put us in a bad spot for us to go and put oyster shells or something to try to smooth that out in between time? I mean, in your estimation, I'm not trying to hold you to anything.
So based on what I just told you, we're not gonna be able to, we're not allowed to dredge between the months of September and March
Right.
because of the Gulf sturgeon.
Right,
I don't know if that applies to Phil.
okay,
I thought that you and I discussed that this was gonna be a maintenance only.
well, that's all we're
Aspect
trying to do
of-
is maintain and cover
Right.
the holes, yes.
Right, so
Yes.
we're fixing the boat ramp.
Yes.
And, maintaining
Right.
that for the public.
Right,
I don't think that there's an issue with that.
okay,
The issue that we're gonna have is depending on when we can get the current design grant closed out.
yes,
Get the construction monies, and when can we go out, or get the Army Corps permit and go out to bid?
April. would
Where
be
do
a
we
good
fall
time.
into that?
April, be a good time, right?
Yeah, it'd be better if we were sending it out in March, but,
Yes.
my point is where do we fall in that window of construction?
Yes.
So we may have to work the construction documents that all work is done,
Mm-hmm.
and then after March or before September, we may have to work the construction schedule so that the dredging part of that happens in that window of opportunity.
Okay,
So
sounds good.
that's the only thing I know to do on that.
Yes, sir,
But I think you're fine with the maintenance
Okay.
portion of your,
just wanted to clarify.
as my non-professional opinion.
No, you're good. You're more professional at that subject matter than I am, let's put it that way.
Anything else? Thank you.
I
Oh,
got
I'm
a
sorry.
question on the next issue she brings up, so if you wanna hang out right there.
Yes, sir, I'll be happy to.
I mean,
Is she next, Mike?
yeah, she is.
Yes, she is.
And I gotta say, Mr. Chairman, if we would have listed that long, if Mr. Pierce had an office, I would kick him out and give it to Clay.
There you go.
But Alan doesn't have an office, so no kicking out I can do, really and truly.
All right, so up next is Miss Erin Griffin.
Okay, our next item 20A, at the meeting on December 7th, the board opened bids for the 5.261 miles of resurfacing on CR 30A. The low bid of $4,840,217.74 was $1,377,555.74 above the available grant funds. FDOT does not have the funds to make up that difference, and neither does the county. The planning department recommends rejecting all bids and rebidding the project with a reduced scope of work to fit within the funding capabilities of the FDOT grant award. This reduction in scope will mean that the entire length of the road from 13 Mile Road to US Highway 98 will not be paved at this time. Franklin County can apply to have the portion that will not be paved included in the FDOT grant cycle that is now open, which would be scrap or SIGP, as Clay reported. And actually, the lowest bid for this road actually came in by the time you factored in engineering expenses as well. It's about $1 million a mile, so, that's
Who,
getting pretty
Clay,
hefty.
what, did y'all have anything to do with engineering this stretch of road?
No, sir.
Okay, so who will be the engineer for that?
On this one, I
Half
believe
and
it is.
Associates. Sorry,
Oh, go ahead.
Half and Associates.
Who would?
Half, H-A-F-F, I
H-A-
believe is the correct.
I don't know them, but,
H-A-L-F-F, yeah.
but where are
H-A-L-F?
they planning on,
I believe that they're thinking that they can get from, they can actually redo the scope where they're gonna do roughly 3-point-something miles, and they're thinking they can go from 13 mile, about to the washout area. And then it would stop there, so that's gonna be, this phase of
Okay.
the project. But
Okay.
we can go ahead and, submit the remaining portion of the road for the current funding cycle.
right, so that's gonna be my motion,
Okay.
that we, reject any and all bids, modify the scope, and re-advertise, and also submit this project
Okay.
into this coming up year's funding cycle so that so that the project can be completed. And that'd be my motion.
I have a motion by Commissioner Parrish,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Ward. Any discussion? I have a discussion item. I mean, is it possible to know, with the way they engineered it, is that why it's so expensive? Is there something different that can be done?
Actually, a lot of our bids are coming in a lot higher than we anticipated.
Costs.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good.
Yes.
Can I,
Yeah. Yep.
okay. So I didn't look at the bids, obviously I didn't have anything to do with it, so I didn't look at their design either. Is there things that were done? I've heard from somebody that they used asphalt base instead of lime rock base. Asphalt base costs more, from what I've been told, than lime rock base, but from an engineering standpoint, the water table on the north side of the road is so high that you don't want to do that in lime rock base, or because it'll just wash, it'll loosen quicker than asphalt base will. Was the explanation that I think the Half and Associates engineer gave when talking with his geotechnical guy. Really, gas prices, I mean, y'all bought gas at the pump. Once gas goes up, asphalt goes up, PVC pipe goes up, and it just trickles from there. Everything goes up. So the good news is, with your motion and your second, and I'm not swaying anybody's vote one way or the other, but you've already got the rest of that designed. So all you're applying for in that next application is construction money.
Okay.
Now, when you talking about, Mr. Chairman, when you talking about that, the lime rock or the asphalt base, that's where you got the paved shoulder.
Yes, sir.
That's where that, you won't actually put lime rock where the road is. That's for the paved shoulder for the 5 point something.
It's either the widening or the 5-foot paved shoulder.
Right.
Right.
That's correct.
Okay. I just thought I'd ask. I mean, that, you know what I mean? It's
Good questions.
$1 million a mile. Anyway, I just thought I'd ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any more discussion before we vote, commissioners? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passes 4-0, Jessica. Thank you, Mr. Kennedy.
Item C, as the grant-funded project for the widening and resurfacing of 6.044 miles of CR 67 from State Road 30 to the Cricket Creek Bridge is nearing completion. CEI engineer AECom has submitted a final change order for a reduction of $66,629.20 in the contracted price with C.W. Roberts for the final adjustment of quantities and materials. Board action to approve and authorize the chairman to sign change order number 2 with C.W. Roberts Contracting for the final quantity reconciliation on the CR 67 Scott project.
So move.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Bolt,
Second.
second by Commissioner Parrish. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's a 4-0 vote.
Next item D, FDOT has indicated that Franklin County needs to proceed with the construction of the Alligator Drive multi-use path phase from the marina to Tom Roberts Road. This phase of the project was delayed due to the FEMA-funded repair of the washed-out portion of the road. Request board action to proceed with advertising for the construction for this phase of the project.
So move.
Okay.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Bolt,
you.
Second.
second by Commissioner Ward, to advertise for construction of Alligator Drive multi-use path project. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That's a unanimous vote.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is E. At the November 16th meeting, we reported the opening of the funding cycle for the FDOT's Transportation Alternatives Program. This is the funding source that Franklin County has used for sidewalks and multi-use transportation paths in the past. For practical purposes, the county should limit itself to 2 projects per year. During the last funding cycle, 3 projects were submitted: Otter Slide Road and Avenue A sidewalk in East Point, River Road multi-use path in Carabel, and the widening resurfacing of the multi-use path on St. George Island. Last year, the Otter Slide Road and Avenue A project was ranked first, River Road was second, and the St. George Island path third. Otter Slide Road and Avenue A has since been funded. At the meeting, Oak Street and Lanark Village was mentioned for a path project, and upon review of the proposed area, it was determined that the elevation changes and some flooding issues could be worsened by the construction of a path. These concerns will need to be resolved before a formal application for a path in that area can be submitted. It is recommended that the board proceed with submitting and ranking the 2 projects that were already in the queue. Board action to resubmit the transportation alternative grant applications for the widening resurfacing of Phase 1 of the multi-use path on St. George Island and the River Road multi-use path in Carabel, and rank the projects by priority.
So moved.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Parrish,
Second.
second by Commissioner Ward. And Aaron, the way you have this worded, I'm just making sure we're covering all our bases. Does it have it, is that a ranking priority, the way you have it worded?
Actually, ranking
or-
priority is up to you all.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to make sure.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I was gonna say, I don't know if we need to maybe amend a motion, but that was kind of my thing too, but the way you have it worded, I assumed that the St. George Island project would be first.
Oh, okay,
I mean,
okay, okay.
Because like I said, since my project got funded in the last term, I feel like that another commissioner from another district needs to have higher priority than my other project that I have. So maybe we do St. George Island first, and then the River Road second.
Okay.
I'll amend my motion to reflect the ranking.
All right, you amend your second?
Yes, I'll amend my second.
All right,
And we'll have formal resolutions with that ranking classification at the next meeting.
all right, so the motion's been amended and the second's been amended to reflect these rankings along with submitting the project.
Okay.
Any more discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Item F, in early October, we reported that Franklin County had been offered an additional $250,000 in grant funds from the State Fire Marshal's Office to assist with the installation of a fire suppression system at Fort Coombs Armory. To be able to accept the grant award, the county had to designate and obligate funds to complete the project. The county met this obligation through a combination of insurance proceeds and TDC sales tax funds. On December 16th, Franklin County received the formal grant amendment from the Fire Marshal's Office. Board action to accept the attached amendment to the grant agreement with the additional $250,000 in supplemental funding and authorize the chairman to sign.
So moved.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Parrish,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion?
God bless you.
Bless you. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous, 4-0.
That was good.
Okay, item G, the Sheriff's Department applied for an Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant to purchase 6 weather-resistant storage truck bed boxes. The attached grant award is $2,016. Board action to authorize the chairman to sign the acceptance of federal funding assistance for the Sheriff's Department's JAG equipment grant.
So move.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Ward,
Second.
second by Commissioner Parrish. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
And I do have one additional item as well, that we'll have to open it up for.
For public comment.
Just showed up today.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, item H, as the grant-funded rehabilitation of runway 624 lights and taxiways B and D project is now complete, Airport Engineer Avcon has submitted a final reconciliation of quantities change order for TCA Contractors in the amount of $17,440.10. The final contract price for the lighting rehabilitation is now $537,825.10 and is wholly funded by the FDOT grant. Board action to approve and authorize the chairman to sign change order number 2 with TCA Contractors for the final quantity reconciliation on the rehab of runway 624 and taxiway lighting project.
So move.
We have a motion by Commissioner Bolt,
Second.
second by Commissioner Parrish. But before we vote, since this was not on the agenda, I would like to call for public comment before we vote. Correct? Okay. Make sure I'm doing right.
Yep.
So there's no public comment in the room, sir. Is there anybody attending by Zoom?
Anyone attending by Zoom that'd like to comment on this item, please, hit the your raise hand feature. Asking once. Anybody would like to comment? Asking twice. Final ask. No, sir.
Okay, any more discussion from the board before we vote on this change order? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous. Passes. Is that it for you, Miss Erin?
That's it.
Okay. All right, Mr.
All right,
Wall?
moving right along. Item 21A, based on the board's direction at the last meeting, let me do this before I get in trouble. Let's see here, there I am. Based on the board's direction last meeting, I contacted the state's fire marshal office and expressed the board's concerns about some of the workshop discussion creating issues with the other volunteer fire departments in the county. This was a proposed workshop that we were discussing. Those are the departments where they feel that they're being penalized because of another fire department's actions. Ms. Melissa Dembeser of the State Fire Marshal's Office explained that the Fire Marshal's presentation would be more of an explanation on their role and how they could support the board as it relates to the volunteer fire departments. They would not be here to discuss management of any volunteer fire department unless there's a reported safety violation. Let me pause there. So basically, they also will not travel to any particular fire department volunteer to have one-on-one conference like you guys had asked me to ask them. So that's not their role. It's not what they do. With that in mind, would the board be interested in a short presentation from the Fire Marshal Office during your January 4th, 2022 regular meeting instead of an afternoon workshop?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
We've not had a workshop that, in my recollection, relative to the Fire Marshal's Office in this county. And I feel like the reception for a workshop, when I've talked to Alligator Point Fire Department, has been very positive. They would look forward to participating in that. And I believe it's a benefit and a compliment to all the fire departments to get to know the fire marshal and hear some of the standards of practice that they promulgate and what kinds of services and their role relative to volunteer fire departments here in our county. And I would encourage that we have a formal workshop and invite all folks from the county involved in any kind of level of firefighting in our county to come to this workshop.
So this isn't, Mr. Chairman, a workshop per se, is just them coming to do a presentation? Is that what you're saying, Michael?
Well, I was since the board didn't seem like they wanted a workshop, I think we needed one. I said, well, maybe it's not a workshop. Are you interested in a smaller presentation, seeing what they could offer? And then you would decide, you know what, we probably need a longer discussion about this and then have the workshop. Again, there were concerns that we would, some of the other fire departments would feel that they're being penalized for something that they've been running a really good program for years.
Mr. Chairman, I personally don't feel any way, one way or another. I mean, I think if the fire marshal wants to come give a presentation, I'm okay with that at our next meeting. And if volunteer fire department individuals want to come and be present, that's fine. If they don't, fine. It's not saying that they're not doing what they're supposed to do. It's just something to kind of help us decide and formulate an opinion on what they're supposed to do, and if they want to be present, they can. If not, they don't have to. That's my opinion.
So a presentation during your regular agenda
I don't
works for
have
you?
a problem with that.
Similar like what Mr. Coleman did today, basically. That's what I was thinking
I
about.
think it'd be a good first step, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? And then if anything more comes from that, fine. If it doesn't, fine. But, at least they presented something formally to the commission because I feel like in all this, maybe we've, as a commission, maybe kind of overreached and asked more out of them than what really is their role to perform. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So, anyway, I'm fine with them making a presentation. But, I'm real careful with the messaging we're sending out, because again, pretty closely associated with the two fire chiefs and the people that are working in my district, and they've been doing a fine job. And I just don't want them to get the message, and even though we're not saying it, it's not what you say, sometimes it's what people perceive. And if we're not careful, we're gonna give the perception that we're somehow unhappy with the job they've been doing as volunteers. And that's something I'm very aware of.
Okay. So I think I'm going to ask for a motion just to make sure we're all clear on this one. That,
You got 3 commissioners said they in favor of it.
yeah,
You
but
vote.
Commissioner Bowe he was
I
asking.
wanted the workshop,
he
but
wanted
if we call it a first step here to just have a presentation, I know there may be to be continued potentials.
Okay.
Let's see how it
Yeah.
goes.
All
Well,
right.
I think it's better to have a presentation. If we ask for a workshop, I've not talked to anybody from the fire marshal's office. I don't know if you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
where are we starting at there?
Okay,
If they
Yeah.
present to the board, we kind of know what their role is.
Okay.
works for me. Presentation during your meeting.
Yes, be fine.
All right, if I may, I'll move on to item B. As requested by Commissioner Ward at the last meeting, I contact FDOT about appearing before this board at least twice a year to provide an update on county projects, similar to what Mr. Kennedy just did. FDOT explained to me in a very nice way that it's a department policy that they do not count in county commission meetings for such updates. If there's an emergency situation or something like that, they may, but on a regular basis, no. However, a representative would schedule a meeting in the county to discuss projects and concerns with each commissioner individually. Excuse me. So would the board like me to schedule a meeting early next year? So basically, it's like a FDOT day. They come here or wherever, sit in the room, and you guys each come spend an hour, hour and a half with each one, with the representative, and discuss your concerns, your questions, get an update, and then you as a commissioners could relay that to publicly and to your constituents individually.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to be a part of that meeting, so whenever they're available, just,
Okay.
I don't know what if there's a certain time of the month they can come, or a certain day of the week, but I can, certainly accommodate that.
Okay, I'll call Carter and we'll set that up and let the board know.
Sign me up also.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good
I
thing.
mean,
That would be a great thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
The first question, Commissioner Ward, is when we're getting the crosswalk over in Carrick.
That's
I
the
mean,
first question, yes.
They sent me that information. I had a big thing here. I'm like, oh my God, this is
A
the best
year
thing in the
ago.
world. And then,
It's been a year.
been a year.
Mhm.
Okay.
Wheels
But it is a 5-year work plan though.
Is
just
that
saying.
on the- is that on the
Yeah, I'm
front
just
end?
saying.
I mean,
Oh, no.
and
Mr.
it
Chairman?
changes as the
Yes.
money's generated.
Yes, that's right.
When we had the pandemic, they generated less funds, they had to go back and rework the scope of the 5-year.
There you
work
go.
plan. So
Sure
that's
is.
ever changing.
Okay. Item C, at your last meeting, Attorney Schuler presented a reef permit application from the Apalachicola Reef Association for your approval. As Attorney Schuler explained, this would be the second application the board would sign with ARA. Commissioner Parrish and Chairman Jones asked for additional time to verify that the proposed location of the reef to make sure that there will be no unintended consequences on other seafood-related industries. Is the board ready to approve the chairman's signature on the reef permit? Everybody checked out the,
Yeah, I heard
Specifics?
nothing negative about it.
okay,
No, it's good.
You heard it? Good.
okay. That I'll ask for a motion for. How about that?
So moved.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Pierce,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's unanimous.
Okay, item D. Recently, Representative Shove contacted Chairman Jones to discuss the state's redistricting committee's proposal to redistrict House District 7. Due to the considerable population growth in Central and South Florida versus the Panhandle, and the constitutional Tier 1 and Tier 2 issues used by the committee staff to draw the maps, we'll refer to this map as 8005, would only decrease the overall land size of House District 7, would not only decrease the overall land size of House District 7, but would also pull in half of its population from downtown Tallahassee. The other proposed map, we call that one 8007, would meet the population requirements by extending House District 7 into more rural and coastal counties and keep House Districts 8 and 9 within their constitutional requirements. Representative Schoaf would like the board to send a letter of support for the use of proposed map 8007 to the redistricting committee, which would allow House District 7, that includes Franklin County, to remain a rural and coastal district. First point, commissioners, before you ask, no, I do not have a copy of either map. And no, I don't know what the Tier 1 and Tier 2 issues are that the committee uses to determine these maps and these districts. So it's something that the representative reached out to the chairman. The chairman immediately passed it on to me, and this is where we are right now. I'd expect that the board would want more information, but I had to put it on the agenda as soon as possible.
Yeah, it's just, as my understanding, it's just to make sure that all the parts of this House District remain rural and coastal is basically what it's gonna do. Since we probably all have similar issues
Yes.
as being rural and coastal counties.
And basically not seeing the maps, Mr. Chairman, we're going on Representative Schultz's word that that's what the two
Yes.
maps actually do.
Yes, and we also would not be the only or the first county commission board to give such a support letter.
We got one from Wakulla
Yes.
yesterday. We sure did. A similar letter. Yes, sir.
I mean, all this is, Mr. Chairman, all this
Yes.
is basically asking is that we continue in that certain districts.
Yes.
7, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't see an issue with that. I'll make a motion to, authorize the chairman's signature on the letter of support.
And I would second
Okay,
that.
I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Ward, seconded by Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
I oppose.
All right, it's a 3-1 vote.
Moving right along to item E, at the previous meeting, the board asked that I create a system that would notify contractors when a bid is uploaded to the county's website. After conferring with 2K Web Group, who manage our website, the least expensive and simplest approach will be to create an email account that would allow all interested contractors to submit their contact information and preferred method of notification, email, text, or both. End the statement there. Then whenever a bid is uploaded to the website, each contractor will be notified of the new upload with a link to the county's bid and award webpage. Do you guys have any other questions or comments or anything I should add to that process? So basically a bid goes up, we send one email, like an email blast to all the registered contractors who's on that account, and they get an email saying a new bid has been uploaded. The link is there, it'll be up to them to go and click the link and look and see what type of bid it is, RFP, RFQ, sealed bids, and if it applies to some service they could provide.
Will you do that before we re-advertise the bid C30 and we have to
Yeah.
re-advertise to do
Yeah.
East Point Fishing Pier?
I
Yeah,
sure
he's already
will.
got that set up and ready
Because
to
I
go.
had one contractor tell me he wasn't notified that
Yes.
he could even bid on the East Point Fishing. So
Yes.
this is gonna eliminate that.
Yes, the
Yes.
chairman is correct. I already have the email account set up and the password. All I need now is to put the message out on our website on that page and start gathering the names, and then I'll have it ready for when we put up another bid.
Yeah.
Yep, I just wanted.
Sounds good to
Very
me.
soon.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
that means I'll be working on it really soon, yeah. But I just wanted to make sure you guys didn't have anything else you wanted me to do before I actually did it officially.
Question though, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Will the contractors that are wanting to be emailed, I mean, they're gonna have to contact you with their information, so
Yes.
we need to make sure that they know that, and we don't just go divvy up and pull out, you know, the internet search of all contractors in our area. They
Yeah.
have to do their due diligence and
So,
contact you.
yeah, so
They have
I'll-
to do their
I just
submittals.
wanted that for public
Yes.
record,
Yes.
so nobody
You're right.
comes to you or us and says, well, you guys said that we were gonna be notified. Well,
Yes.
they have to do their due diligence and notify
Yeah.
you, stating they wanna be on this.
You'll have to register, and to register means they send me an email to that account, and I'll have all this full message on our website. Click on that email, send me, you know, because, like, for instance, if you want to be notified for text, anyway, by text, I need to know your phone number and your service provider if it's Verizon, because each phone has a different way of sending from email to text, you see? I'm gonna explain all that to them, or if they just want an email, then that's an easy fix. But yes, they will have to register a commission, that's right. So that's on them. I mean, I couldn't bring the horse to the water, basically, yeah.
I just wanna
Yeah.
make that note for the record.
Thank you.
And
Uh,
the bids will not be filtered either. Like,
Right.
it'll be
Yeah.
basically like, you know, they
Any
may get a
bid.
bid for antimicrobial surfacing at the jail,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know, so,
Right.
there's not
Yeah.
that many, but
Right.
they just may have some that wanna apply.
All they're gonna be is notify that we just uploaded a bid or an award, either one, yes.
Yeah, I'm good with it. I think it's something we maybe should have looked at before, but anyway, you can't think of everything all the
That's-
time, so.
Live and you learn, sir.
So do you need a vote on
Nope.
that, sir?
Just wanna make sure you guys didn't have any more
Okay.
comments or
All right,
suggestions.
so let me ask you this, would you also, ask them at Oyster Radio if they would run it as a public service announcement? for
Yes.
A month or something, you know what I mean?
Yes,
It doesn't have to be for a long time, but just for a little while.
same thing, and David is on Zoom right now, I'll ask him to do the same thing,
Yep.
especially on his online version
Yes.
of the newspaper.
Yep.
Okay, done with that. Item F, he can see you, you know. Item F, last week, Mr. John Solomon, your TDC administrator, asked for a letter of support. And, Mr. Chairman, jump in when you feel necessary, because you know, you know more about this than me. Northwest Florida Tourism Council's Adventure Within Reach application. With tourism as the county's #1 private sector job creator and economic engine, Mr. Solomon thinks that the Adventure Within Reach program would diversify the tourism product locally and within the region, creating a more resilient and sustainable economy all year long. Feels that way now. The deadline for the letter of support was Monday, December 13th. So I asked the chairman to sign the letter with the anticipation that the board would ratify his signature today. So that's what I'm asking for, motion to ratify the chairman's signature.
So moved.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Parrish, second by Commissioner Bolt. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? 4-0 vote.
And my final item is an informational item. Mr. Solomon's report is there. His statement is what's within the quotes, and the actual collection report is actually attached. That goes along with that report.
Okay.
That's all I have for the board this afternoon.
Okay. Well, before we proceed, I don't know if it'd be more correct under you or Attorney Schuler, but we're in between both. So I got a letter in from Department of Environmental Protection. Neither one of you have seen the letter. They are basically stating they named out an address and sent this to the occupant or the home builder about them. The home has been increased in the number of bedrooms and occupancy since they got their original permit. And now they're out of code with the state for their aerobic septic system. And they've been given 15 days to comply.
Well, look at that. It's Christmas.
However, I will say, I think we as a board need to look into, because they obviously had to do building, HVAC, electrical, and plumbing to get to this point. When they get a letter like this from the state, we need to attach our own letter,
That's right.
and we need to do the same
That the
thing.
county is aware you've received
Yes.
this letter, and we support
Yes.
their actions.
Yes.
And we'll be watching.
I know we can't do that today, but we need to put it on a future
Oh,
agenda.
sure will. I'll have the billing official send that letter out.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Mr. Chairman, I got something real quick
Yes.
too from Mr. Morone. I know in the past we talked about, I think Commissioner Parrish brought it up, about a cell phone tower up Highway 65.
Yes.
I think we need to get that conversation started again.
Okay.
It's a safety issue. People travel that road. We have a lot of tourists that come down from that road. A lot of our local people go that way to Tallahassee or to Georgia or wherever. And it's really, really something we need to look at trying to get. I know it's state, a lot of state, it's state-owned, but I don't know. I'm willing to do a little bit of research. I've already done some research. I've had people in the area reach out to me as to reasons why they don't have one already. Apparently, one of the excuses was that they do, Eglin does their training exercises there, and they don't want the cell phone tower. But I'm like, well, if that's the case, then there would be no cell phone towers anywhere. So, you know, I would just like to get that conversation started.
Okay.
Well-
Not for today, but just for future.
We did have someone get an approval from this board for a cell phone tower up 65. It's been a couple of years ago now. So I believe the holdup has been either with the cell phone providers or something of that nature. But no, we already had an individual with the property, going through the process, trying to get a cell phone tower on the property. The board approved it. So, I mean, I don't know why it hasn't happened.
That's good.
Mr. Chairman, if I might
Yes.
add something to this.
Yes.
I've reached out to the individual property owner,
Mhm.
and these people actually have a option on this property to put a cell tower. I told him that maybe this board would write a letter of support.
Yes.
Liberty County School Board has been in constant contact with me because I won't give them the people's name of who owns the property, but they're going through me.
Yep.
And they're worried about school buses coming into Sumatra and picking up school kids, but the radios don't work. They don't have no cell service. They're in there with a busload of kids. Now, if they have a blowout or something between there and Wilma or there and Bristol, they can't make contact with anybody. So it's a safety issue for the Liberty County School Board. But a lot of our visitors come from the Georgia area, so they come down 65. Ain't nobody got no service. I don't care what kind of provider you're
Yeah.
carrying, whether it's AT&T, Verizon, nobody's got nothing.
Right.
So if you're coming down through there in the middle of the night, a young lady by herself,
Yep.
and has car trouble, anything else, you can't reach out to nobody. So it's a huge safety issue, not only for the school kids of Liberty County, for everybody.
Mhm.
So my question is would this board like to write a letter of support? This is, quote, AT&T, encouraging them to proceed with and give them these reasons that I'm bringing to the board this morning as a reason. But what happens when they put a cell tower up? Other companies co-locate.
Yep.
Verizon will get on that tower, maybe T-Mobile, and you'll get an expansion of different providers in this area. There are a lot of providers out there that's a lot cheaper than Verizon, but we don't have the service, so that's not an option for us. If you get co-location on this tower, you could have a number of different companies, Sprint, I mean, just on and on, that may collate on that tower, co-locate, and then you got service in the area.
Yeah.
So is the board interested in writing a letter of support?
I'll make that motion.
I was directed not to give the address or anything else out to anyone else,
Of course.
but Franklin County was welcome to issue a letter of support. And I have the address and everything else. I can get the county staff, let the staff write the letter,
Okay.
depending on what the board's desire is.
Yeah.
Commissioner Ward, you made a motion?
I did,
And I'll second
with
it.
comment.
Okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Ward, second by Commissioner Bolt, to send this letter of support to the Liberty County School District.
No,
Oh,
let's
to-
go straight to AT&T.
That's okay, I
Oh.
wanted to clarify.
But I was instructed not to give Liberty County the address.
Okay.
If Liberty County wants to write a letter that could be included in our packet, the school board I'm talking about,
Yeah.
that's fine, but they did not want me to provide them with the address to write their own letter. They don't want to harass the people, a letter of support will be fine, but they don't want a bunch of derogatory and,
No,
this type of
I
stuff.
hear, do you mind if you expand it to, let me send it to the 3 main cell providers?
All three of them?
Yeah,
Only this one that I know of has actually got a site.
Okay.
yeah, but like you said, if you encourage it, somebody get
They
the
could
site-
co-locate,
on
and
the-
they
on the
always
tower.
do, but when
Yeah.
you go by a cell tower antenna, you don't see one, tower,
Yeah.
you don't see one antenna,
No.
you see several,
Right, right, right.
Yes.
if not 10 or 12. So they all co-locate, and they pay to have their antenna on that tower, which helps offset the cost of providing the tower.
So
Is
do
the
I
way
need
it
to amend-
always
I-
works.
I'll amend my motion to reflect, send a letter of support to all 3 cell
Yeah,
phone
I'll send it 3
providers.
majors. Yep, it's
Three major.
it's now Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. Those
Yes.
are the 3
Did you amend
main.
your
I'll
second?
amend my
Commissioner
second.
Ward? All right, and you had a comment, Commissioner Ward?
Same thing with between East Point, Carabel too, there's a
Yep.
dead area as well, so I don't know, maybe we could, I don't know, I know of a person out that way that has also offered up property to put a cell phone tower up. I'm not so sure if he's still interested, cause that was over a year ago since I spoke with him, but I can reach back out to him and see. Maybe we can
Okay.
do the same for that too.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be a good thing to check on, and it seems like I remember Commissioner Pierce at the same time they were talking about this one.
In Wilmot,
Yeah, but they're also talking about one up where Highway 12 goes through, right?
Wilmot.
Yeah.
Yeah, right there.
So
where
whatever
Highway
happened with
12
that, have
cuts
you heard
off.
anything about
The
that?
same company's supposed to be doing
Okay.
both of these, so that could be, that could be referenced in this
All right.
letter.
Yeah, because you'd really need both. That would be
That
at
would
least
extend you
some
all the way-
service.
That would
Yes.
extend you from Appalachia to Bristol.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
Number 12. Okay.
Any more discussion before we vote? Do you have clear direction on what we're doing? Okay. I just want to make sure. I don't know if I have clear direction on what we're doing, but anyway, we're proceeding. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That's unanimous.
Like Attorney Schuler and I discussed, we speak commission.
There you go. All right, Attorney Schuler, then it's up to you.
Merry Christmas,
well,
Commissioner.
Merry Christmas and Happy New
Yes.
Year's, my
Merry Christmas.
report, but to follow up on the, this issue of the address, if we put that option holder's address on a public letterhead, it's gonna become public record. So if we're sending the letter directly to the option holder on our letterhead, there's nothing that's going to exempt that from the public record. One option would be to, or one alternative, let's not confuse it, options would perhaps check with the landowner, see if we could send a letter of support that he then can deliver to the option holder. Just something to think about.
Okay.
Okay.
I hear
we
you.
can Do it that way.
Yeah, that probably would be
Already
better.
been on the public records anyway, like when the board actually granted authorization for the tower?
It's part of the it was a P and Z report and would be in the board minutes.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Mr. Chairman, can't we
What's that
just,
It would actually already be a part of the public records because, the board would have actually granted approval for the tower, correct?
Oh,
To the landowner.
On the landowner,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
The
Not
landowner.
where-
so that's who I'll reach out to, the landowner, so we go from there.
do we have to include an address? Can we just say we have a potential?
location.
Yeah,
There's
location.
been approved location.
And you could reach out to us
for that-
privately for that?
more details on that,
Yes.
yeah, yeah, okay,
Yeah, that works too.
yep,
Either which way, we just need to make sure.
I'll do it all.
not misstepping. Hopefully we can get cell towers out of the deal.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mike, Mr. Chairman, we have to be careful because this company does have an option.
Mhm.
In other words, he couldn't let another company come in and build a cell tower when this company's paid him a fee to retain that option.
Right,
You understand what I'm
Right.
saying?
right. All right, so you have no report, sir?
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. It's
That's
3 o'clock. I wouldn't dare give a report
That's
right
such
now.
a report. I don't know what we're gonna do with you.
But Clay says we're not hangry anymore, so we're good.
So,
Oh, goodness.
oh Lord,
It's
so,
been a good year. And
It
I
has
thank the
been.
board. It's been a really wonderful year, I think. It really
yeah.
has.
So before we move on to commissioners' comments, and while we're still at you, Attorney Schuler, even though you didn't give a report, I wasn't trying to avoid Mr. Ward earlier. I know their issue and they might be on the end of a dead-end street. But one of the repeated problems I have, or the county has, shouldn't say I, because I'm not always gonna be a commissioner, on St. George Island is stuff being built in our right-of-way. And and I'm just being point blank honest, when I first spoke with his wife, Miss Ward, about it, I did not ask the question, but I assumed that this planter was by their house. You know, that wasn't in the picture, but anyway, that was wrong, but I assumed it. And when I talked with Mr. Currington and found out that it's across the street from their house, it's not adjoined to their property at all. It's just sitting in our right-of-way. I mean, the state that owns the property is the one that complained about it, and we're either gonna allow stuff in our right-of-way and never say nothing about it, or we're not gonna allow stuff in the right-of-way. So I'm in favor of definitely not allowing stuff in the right-of-way. So, I mean, I don't know, that won't give any different direction to county staff than what they've already had. They've already sent the letters. They just might need to reach out to them again and make sure they're aware that, yes, it's a lovely planter, it's not hurting anything, but it is in county right-of-way, because honestly, going into the new year, we're probably gonna be cleaning up our right-of-way a little bit on St. George Island.
I mean, we have,
Commissioner, and I know the board ran into the issue of improvements within the county right-of-way when you had Dewberry begin to look at expanding parking on the island.
Yes.
So it is definitely a well-known problem.
Right, and I don't think we should, I think we need to be consistent. If we tell somebody no, we need to start telling everybody no, and take that line.
Does that include shrimp vendors now, that park on the county right away?
That's not building in our right-of-way.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
what we're saying.
yeah,
You're
I'm
talking
talking
about
about, no, this is something that's built in the right-of-way.
I mean, we have one, the chairman, Howard, and myself are working on now, is that First Street?
Yes,
There's a fence that's actually blocking our right. I mean,
straight across our
They built a
right-of-way.
fence right across our right of way.
Yeah. So, anyway,
There's a
And-
bunch of plants and,
Yeah.
6x6 timbers, and
Yep.
Yeah.
all that stuff's in the right of way,
Yeah.
especially on the roads going to the dune walkover.
Yeah, let me be more specific. This fence is actually one of our alleys.
Yeah.
And somebody wants to build on the other side and they can't get to the lot.
they're blocked off
Yeah.
the alley. Yeah, and I will say this too, just so the board is aware, before we had the meeting the other day with Dewberry and Mr. Kennedy and some of the others about the stormwater on the island, we were also able to meet Ms. Griffith and I with some of Mr. Danny Collins and some of the representatives from Duke. They're about to undertake probably at least a year-long project on St. George Island. It's the first that they're doing, I think, in North Florida for sure, maybe the first in Florida, of a storm hardening project. Over the course of a year, they're going to replace poles, lines, transformers, all kind of things on St. George Island. So when we were having that discussion, we also were able to ask them about the possibility of, because a lot of areas where our dune walkovers are, the power pole's in the middle of that area. So we're gonna try to get them moved to one side or the other so we can address parking perpendicular to the road at our dune walkovers as well. So
1,000 poles, Commissioner.
a bunch of poles,
1,000 poles.
but to make sure the board is aware of that.
Yeah.
Good.
And that's all I had for now. I'm trying to catch it between there and commissioner comments. Sorry, in case anything come up, I didn't want somebody to want to make a motion and we're on commissioner comments.
Yes, sir.
So I guess up next is commissioner comments.
Mr. Chairman, just happy holidays to everybody and have some nice days off and relax and
Yes.
recoup for the new year.
Yes. It's
Warm
been-
wishes for a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. We look
Yep.
forward to seeing everybody next year, too.
There you go. It's, you don't think it's been that long because it goes by rather quickly, but it was a long year, but I think we made it out okay.
Mhm.
And, I think that there are positive things. This board's always working on stuff, whether we seem to be or not, always working on stuff for the betterment of this county, betterment of our residents, and the better of those who visit our shores. So, Merry Christmas.
Okay. My
Merry
gift to the
Christmas.
board will be shorter meetings.
Thank you.